All right, guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over an article which is pretty much an open letter that this guy writes addressing all the women when he was younger that pretty much jerked him around, took advantage of his nice ways, and screwed him over. And now when he's older, in his 30s, and he's starting to have success and status and all that, these same types of women now want him back. They now want to settle with this guy when they wouldn't give him the time of day when he was younger. And it's this really hilarious letter that he writes, pretty much saying that a lot of us would be thinking or feeling as we got older here. Because the most common situation, guys, and that I don't think there's very many of you guys watching this right now that haven't experienced what this guy's going to describe in some detail when you were younger, was that when we were younger, we didn't know any better. And by nature, we would treat, when we're teenagers and in college, we treat women well. It wouldn't be like treating them like they're the queen, but just treating them like another human being. And how many of you guys have been jerked around and taken advantage just by treating a woman when you're younger just like a human being? And she ends up, leading you on, letting you spend your money on her to dump you for some guy that's a total scumbag with a prison record, or in this guy, he describes neck tattoos, and just treat her like shit. And she was just drooling over this guy, but she wouldn't give you the time of day. How many times has that happened to a lot of you guys watching this, right? And then as you get older, we get life experience, realize that as much as you'd like to treat a woman that you like a human being, when you do, it blows up in your face. And then what happens always is that these women, they get into their 30s, and all of a sudden, they're not as attractive and as desirable as they once were. The same type of guys that they were drawn to don't want them anymore, or they realize they're never going to settle. And what do? They then pursue the same type of guys that they either jerked around and wouldn't give the time of the day when they were younger. But a lot of these guys now have wised up, and they're not giving these women the time of day. They're saying, hey, I wasn't good enough for you back then, so why would I give you the time of day now, especially when you're less desirable? And it's a really funny read. And here's the thing, guys. A lot of women, and I've heard women say this, they always make the argument saying that, hey, okay, fine, we wouldn't give you the time of day when you were younger, but eventually you get us, right? Like, hey, you know what? We screwed up. The women they'll say that basically they didn't know any better with the bad boys and all that, and they made a mistake. But now they're going to settle for the nice guy. So the nice guy always wins in the end. But that's bullshit, because let's just say that the girls in the 20s that wouldn't give the average guy the time of the day, now they're after them in their 30s because they have success and money and things like that. They have resources to provide. Yeah, the guys may get them in the sense that they may marry them, but do you think in any way, shape, or form that they look at that guy the same way they looked at the bad boy? Do you think they treat him the same way as they treated the bad boy? And do you think in any way, shape, or form they fuck that guy, the husband, like they did the bad guy? No way. So the guy that marries this type of woman who, was the hot thing in her 20s, they never really get her. And oftentimes you see the statistics on divorce or just unhappy marriages. So I'm going to go over this article here again. It's really funny. You guys will definitely be able to relate to some of these things. And you'll also see in here where the guy obviously he talks about things he did where obviously he was too nice. And we learn the lesson of this and not to behave this way. So the article is, "Dear girls who are finally ready to date nice guys, we don't want you anymore." Starts out saying, "You had your chance on our first and only date. I held the door open for you and bought you dinner at that 5-star restaurant you so slyly worked into the conversation. You looked amazing, and I went all out to impress you. You walked through the door, I held open for you without a thank you or really any acknowledgement of my little gesture." And you can see here, what did he do? He took her to a 5-star restaurant on the first date. He held the door open for her. He was trying to impress her. These are things you don't do, guys, period. First date, one drink. That's it. I don't care how hot she is. I don't care how much she tries to convince you to take her to a restaurant. One drink. Because what's going to happen? The odds are, even if they don't like you, they're going to still use you for, a great meal out and enjoy all the compliments and you trying to impress her. You don't do any of that. Because what happens? Just like this guy here. But this guy was obviously a nice guy. He just didn't know any better. And this is a mistake a lot of guys make. He goes on, I asked you about your hopes and dreams and listened to you bitch about your ex-boyfriend as you ordered that $100 bone-in ribeye and the wine from the fancy vintage you just had to try. You finished the wine, but took most of the steak home in a doggy bag. I now realize that it was the ex-boyfriend you were texting all evening. I hope he enjoyed the steak I bought him. By the way, that emergency call you got after dinner didn't fool anyone. I'm not stupid, unlike most of the guys you dated. Any of this starting to sound familiar, guys? Things that you did when you were younger? Look, I made mistakes like this when I was younger and I didn't know any better. And I had to learn the hard way. I was wonderful to you. I was a gentleman. I treated you with respect like a lady deserves to be treated. I enjoyed your company and you had my full attention. And they complain there's no gentleman anymore. Why is that? Because we learned that you treat a woman if you act like a gentleman, it's perceived as weakness. I don't care what anybody says, we all know this. And I'm going to get some women on here that are going to bitch and complain and say that's not true. Yes, it is true. I didn't expect anything in return except a chance to win your heart. Well, he expected something in return. Let's be honest here, guys. I'm stable. I'm a good provider. I want marriage and kids in my future. I'm the man of your dreams, but you couldn't see that. Or maybe you just didn't care. You were pretty preoccupied with your texting. But now you're ready to date me. Really? You'll excuse me if I'm not jumping for joy. You dissed me, rejected me, took advantage of me, dodged my goodnight kiss, and couldn't wait to get away from me. Now suddenly you want me. Sorry, I'm not buying it. Again, like I said before, these women won't give guys the time of day in their prime, teens and 20s, jerk them around, take advantage of them for some other scumbag. And now in their 30s, all of a sudden, they're there with open arms to have the same type of guy they want to give the time of day. But more and more guys are waking up and understanding female nature, and they're saying, hey, not a chance. And these same women bitch and complain there's no men out there and no romance, no gentlemen and all that. I get it though. Now that you're on the downside of 30, the wrinkles are starting, the body is sagging, and you have stretch marks and that C-section scar from pushing out the bad boy's rugrat. I know it was impossible to see that the deadbeat, impossible jerk was actually a deadbeat, irresponsible jerk. But that's not my problem. While you were waiting for those texts that never came, I was busy getting my career in order and maximizing my credit score. Now my biggest issue is deciding which color Audi I'm going to buy. Why in the world would I choose to take on you and your problems? In your 20s, you barely gave me the time of day. Meanwhile, you were jumping in bed with any guy with a neck tattoo or a prison record. Why would I date you? I know where you've been, and I hope you've been tested. From the trail of bad boys and the mistreatment you tolerated, no. Invited into your life and seeing all the drama you created for yourself. I can only conclude that you don't need a nice guy, you need therapy. This guy's bitter, obviously, but it's funny as hell. And if we're all being honest here, every guy has probably who made these mistakes has thought and felt this at some time or another. I'm a simple guy and like my life uncomplicated. You are the human embodiment of drama and chaos. I have to be crazier than, well, you, to take on your baggage. Exactly. Face it, you get sick of me and my nice guy ways. I'll remember your birthday and our anniversary, and I'll buy you flowers on both. I'll treat you with respect, and you'll get bored. Yep. I know damn well you're going to end up cheating on me, and I don't plan on giving you half my stuff when you do. I work hard for what I have, and now that I've achieved a little success, I would love somebody to share my life with. Good luck, dude. But that's not going to be you. You thought I wasn't worthy of you back then, and I feel you're not worthy of me now. Now that the bad boys have used you up and moved on to women 10 years younger, so have I. It's a funny thing, now that I've achieved a little success, drive a nicer car, and have stability in my life, I'm getting attention from those girls too. Isn't that amazing? Guy gets older in his 30s, starts having success, money, resources. All of a sudden, those same women that wouldn't give him the time of day that are still in their 20s are giving them the time of day. But for you guys that are in your 30s, you're starting to have success, be aware at the end of the day, it all boils down to what you can provide, what resources you have, what status you have that can reflect on her. If you think it's all about love and romance in the Disney movies or the Hallmark Channel, you are greatly mistaken, gentlemen. A lot of you may say I'm being negative or bitter. That's not at all. I just see reality for what it is. It's taken me 42 years on this planet to truly 100% understand that. And now that I do, I'm sharing with you guys to help you out. So you don't make the same mistakes that many of us have made when we were younger, especially you young guys in your teens and 20s. I don't need you anymore. I'm not in the mood to deal with you, your issues, or your ex and his issues. I'm not looking to help you raise the mini-me version of some guy you used to bang. I want my own children someday, not the offspring of Mr. Neck Tattoo. This guy's pretty funny. Truth is, though, I'm happy for you. I really am. It's about time you matured and came to your senses about the thugs and losers you just couldn't resist. But I wasn't sitting by the phone waiting for you to realize I'm a great guy. I wrote you off long ago. You've learned some important lessons, and so have I. In fact, you taught me not to date girls like you. Well, most of them are like that. Speaking for the nice guys out there, you're too late. We want a good girl, not some bad boy's leftovers. And the fact that you're still out there dating tells me the bad boys don't want you either. Enjoy dressing your cat up for Halloween and cherish your bad boy memories. I hope they keep you warm at night. I'm just not that into you anymore. And that, gentlemen, is the cycle of how things go, like I said. And I read this. Yes, obviously it sounds this guy's bitter and bitching, and it's funny. But the reality is that, again, like I said in the beginning of the video, when we're younger, we don't know any better. And by nature, we don't want to be jerks. But just by simply, when we were younger, treating women like a human being, simple gestures, even then, most of us got ditched, right? And then for the guys who were total scumbags, we couldn't figure it out. What was the deal? Later on in time, we start piecing it together. And eventually we then realize that you can't be a gentleman. You can't be nice. You can't do any of that stuff. Because otherwise, in this day and age, it's perceived as weakness and you're out of there. And also, we're fully aware that these women in their 20s, in their prime, that can get any guy they want if they're an 8 or above. By the time they're in their 30s, all of a sudden, the same guys they wanted before don't want them anymore. They're still dating the 20-somethings, even though those guys are in their 30s and 40s or 50s or whatever. And so then because they have no other alternative, they then go for the guys in their 30s that they wouldn't have given the time of day back in their teens and 20s. And sadly, a lot of those guys don't know any better. And they'll think, oh, I got my shot. I got her. No, you didn't. You didn't get her. She may have married you. She may have put a ring on your finger. She may obviously slept with you so many times. But does she look at you the same way as the bad boy? Does she treat you the same way as the bad boy? And she sure as hell doesn't fuck you the same way as the bad boy, okay? So you don't get her. And you get, obviously, an unhappy wife, which leads to an unhappy marriage, likely an unhappy divorce. That's the reality. A lot of people aren't going to like what I'm saying here. They're going to say I'm crazy negative and bitter. I'm not at all. I just, like I said before, I see things as they are. That's it. And I'm trying to help you guys out so you don't make the same mistake a lot of us have. So, but anyway, guys, I thought that was the funny thing to share. Be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.